Good morning and welcome back to gridXdays, the online conference bringing you cutting-edge discussions on clean tech, sustainable energy, the rise of distributed energy resources, and transformative tech solutions. Just to remind everyone watching this is an interactive experience, so we encourage all of our viewers to submit their questions and that we can ask the panelists. Today we are bringing you 6 more panels, and recordings of all of these will be available online in a few weeks. And with that, let's get started with our first panel. Can one energy player do it all? Joining us for this panel, we have Mauricio Olmos, BESS expert at Huawei. Mauricio is an expert in energy market analysis with a focus on energy storage and PV systems. Known for his work in green finance projects on energy efficiency and renewable energy, he has led a nationwide network for Tesla energy installations and has trained professionals across South America and the Caribbean on PV systems, recycling, and climate-focused energy solutions. Then we have Maximiliane von Butler, VP of Smart Living at Enercity. Maximiliane specializes in harnessing business opportunities from energy market transformations across Europe, the US, and Australia. Passionate about democratizing energy, she empowers asset owners to shape their energy supply and accelerate the transition to a decentralized, decarbonized system. And then finally, we have Stefan Walter. Stefan, the Director of Business Development EMEA at Enphase Energy. He combines his curiosity and engineering expertise to drive growth and innovation in every business he engages with. With a career marked by global leadership, several patents, and a commitment to personal and professional growth, Stefan brings a unique blend of business acumen and technical insight to the energy sector. All right, and with that, let's get started. So welcome, all of you. Thanks so much for joining me this morning.
Thanks for the invitation.
Thanks for having us.
Good morning.
And we will start with a question for Maximiliane. How are the roles of energy stakeholders evolving as the industry moves towards a more integrated approach?
Yeah, thanks for asking that question. I think the most obvious change is that suddenly there are more customers. It's not the end customer only anymore. There are installers, there are hardware suppliers, and all of them are now thinking about how to integrate their either assets or their services into the landscape. Thus, when you look at the market from a utility point of view, suddenly there are more customers you have to think about and products and services you have to offer.
And then, Stefan, do you think companies should focus on their core competencies or try to cover a larger part of the value chain?
Well, I think you should, first of all, focus on providing most value to your customer. And traditionally, you basically develop your core competencies based on the value proposition you built originally in your company. So if you do that, basically that already defines a lot. And obviously your business model needs to adapt. You need to change your value proposition, so your core competencies also need to adapt. But your focus point should always be the customer. Otherwise, I mean, I can say this as a German engineer, you fall in the German engineering trap, which is great solution looking for a problem. And that's what should not happen.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And then, Mauricio, is there a risk of spreading resources too thin when trying to cover multiple sectors?
Well, as Stefan said, adapt. That's a key word. And of course, if you spread too much, there's a huge risk, of course, to lose also the market share. But I think if we don't adapt and if we don't go with this risk, we cannot succeed. So I would take I would see it as a exam that you have to consider between, like, okay, do we do all over like Huawei, for example, is doing now, and it's succeeding, but you have, of course, the risk that you can lose also some markets. In our way, I can say it's working.
It's working for Huawei right now.
Exactly.
Then, Maximiliane, what are the benefits, risks, and challenges of a single energy company
I think your
offering
microphone is not working right.
Yes.
We don't hear you.
You don't hear me?
Now
Oh,
it's better.
now
Now
go
we
ahead.
hear you.
Oh, goodness. All right. Do you want me? I'll repeat that question.
Please. Yes, I didn't hear it.
Yeah, and so that was to you. What are the benefits, risk, and challenges of a single energy company offering end-to-end services?
Yeah. Yeah. Since we started with the international frame, and
Hmm.
now I'm working for a German utility. Maybe I do some kind of bridging that. Um, I used to work in storage before, and we had offerings across the value chain in Australia, in the US, also in several markets in Europe, and they're all a little bit different depending on the national requirements and the opportunities. So now I'm representing a German utility, and the German market is a little different to the ones, in, especially Australia. And if I, since we're now here in a panel where it's about representatives from storage, and storage is all about flexibility, and the German market knows about flexibility in a theoretical point of view, I would say. We have the renewables in the system. We also have made the analysis that we need this flexibility to bridge it and to get more renewables in the system. But we're currently a little bit in the dark on how to untap this value of flexibility. And from my experience, the industry is actually pushing the market to think about flexibility, developing own use cases. And currently, we're still in the status that if you enter the German market and you come with a flex provider, it can be a smaller or a larger asset, you sort of are forced into offering the service according to it because no one else currently enables you to sort of join a platform and simply harvest the value of flexibility. So I think we are in a transitional period in that. So now coming back to your question where you say talk about benefits, risks, and challenges, I would love to start with a challenge. The challenge is to transform the German market in a way that the value of flexibility can be harvested easily, needs to be simple, and it needs to be practical. No one who is not deep in the industry needs to talk about it and know about the details. But we are not there yet. So the challenge will be to transform our system and make it simple to get there. And the benefits, of course, is get more renewables in the system, make it make our energy transition work. If we don't do that, we will be blocked. Yeah, that's the risk. I hope I addressed all 3 points. And I want to make it clear that we are not there yet. We are at the beginning.
Uh, Stefan and Mauricio, would you have anything to add to this?
No, I think I can only second that. We are at the beginning still, unfortunately, and the value of flexibility is not valued right now.
Do you, because you guys said that we're at the beginning, but do you think that we're already like at least like in the beginning on the path, or is it like it really hasn't actually started yet? Like we're still at the starting line, or has the race actually begun?
But I think it depends who you ask, right? So I think all of us, we exist in our energy bubble here, and we are obviously, we've been on that journey for quite a while. But when I, no offense to my mother, but when I ask my mother about all of this, she has no clue. So I mean, it depends on as a society, as Germany as a whole, but also as Europe. I think we're definitely on the right path. We started the journey, but we only taken the first couple of steps.
Yes, I agree. So it's like we're educating the market right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with you when it comes to the German market. I think there are other markets out there that are a little bit more further ahead. Yes.
What markets would you say are further ahead?
I remember clearly the Australian market.
Yeah, yeah.
And over there, customers could separate their contract when it comes to energy consumption and providing flexibility. So they had two value streams. That was very explicit.
Hmm.
And there is no such thing close by in the German market. So now you have to make it you have to find your way and design super complicated products in a way that the customers can sort of profit from flex marketing, but you can't really show it to them. So you need to make like bold decisions on how you put the margin, how do you do the pricing, and it's a strategical decision if you want to provide the value of flexibility. So I think that's the reason why currently mostly suppliers of hardware are interested in offering the full product. And step by step now, installers and companies who sort of install the assets at home, they are now tapping into this field. And I'm expecting, not far from now, that utilities will transform in a way that they can offer their products, including the value flexibility for industrial and end customers. And I hope that's going to be soon, but it needs to have support from regulatory entities.
Yeah. And then, Stefan, do you think there is a competitive advantage in focusing on niche expertise versus offering holistic solutions?
Well, I think niche expertise always kind of implies for me over perfecting your little piece of the puzzle until there's no additional value that can be squeezed from it. So I think that's certainly not the way to go. I think also when you look at the big picture, which you always should do, you definitely need to make sure that in this big puzzle you have pieces connecting you to the rest. So if those pieces don't exist yet, you certainly have to kind of get out of it and maybe create it yourself. But you will never cover the entire thing, right? So there is no such thing as a holistic solution because there's always things you can add left and right. So I think what really should set you apart is clarity about your role and what you can, where you want to play and where your boundaries are. And that clarity can provide a lot of things. It can provide strategy, determination, purpose, and at the end of the day, it provides success, right? So this can be your competitive advantage, basically being very clear of what you can provide. And I mean, there's good examples outside of the energy industry. I mean, I am always amazed by the company ASML, the company is making production equipment for microchips. I think two out of three microchips globally are made with their equipment. They just make the production equipment. They don't make microchips themselves, basically. They could potentially do it, but they said, no, they're very clear about their role. And that clarity, I think, actually makes them the market leader. And so I think that's the more important thing, not so much worry about, niche expertise, just being very clear how you connect to the bigger picture and that you can connect to the bigger picture.
Yeah. And then, Maximiliane, in your opinion, how can small or these niche players stay competitive against fully integrated energy giants?
Haha. Well, I've been working for these so-called niche players for close to a decade and only recently joined a so-called giant. From my perspective, it's still the other way around. In that field, in that very specific future-oriented field, I consider those niche players being in the lead. They are currently showing how it could work, and the others are the follower. I think the utility is in for the long run. It's a marathon, not a sprint. But currently, when you look at the sprint, the niche players are clearly faster.
Okay, that's interesting. I would not have thought that. Stefan, in what areas of energy service do you believe partnerships are still essential even for these large players?
I mean, in a lot of ways, I think, at Enphase, our most important partners are obviously our installers because they're the ones having the kitchen table discussions with the homeowner. They understand the problem. So we need those close partnerships to actually deliver and develop products and services that are desirable. But I think also us, what we said in the beginning, being at the beginning of this journey, one thing that will become more and more important is actually when we look at the life cycle of those different solutions. Because if you right now put an energy management system in your house, this is going to be there for 25 to 30 years. So within those 25 to 30 years, there will be, in average, 5 different cars connected, hopefully EVs, to that house. There will be different heating systems. The average German person will change their energy provider probably 10 times during that time frame, and so on and so on. So If you don't have strong partnerships with all those other industries, with all those other sectors and the sector coupling, you will definitely fail, because if it works now, doesn't mean that it works in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. So you constantly have to adapt and work with everyone, and need to be compatible also to some extent with your competitors. Otherwise, you will just not be able to provide a good solution.
Mm.
Yeah, if I may add, I think I absolutely agree. And for the sprint, it's easier. It's highly complicated in the German market, but you're very focused. But the customer stays in for the long run, and he needs constant services. He needs to have a partner on his side who is stable and, like, per definition, will be around forever, sort of. And that's why these partnerships are crucial. But technology comes from the market, from where there is competition and innovation. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I can also add in this point as partnership is a key, because we cannot really do everything. So like a single company cannot really do everything. So and also, like, you have partnerships with these small players, let's say sprinters, but they are coming with so much innovation that even big companies can learn from that.
That actually goes into a question I had for you, Mauricio, which is, how do you think partnerships complement a company's ability to offer a full range of energy services?
Yeah, as I said, like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a key. It's a key because even if we have let's call talk now for as a side of Huawei, even if we have an R&D team, even then you need this partnership with teams that are all over the world. That are bringing new ideas, that know maybe better than the inside market of the country. And if you don't make the partnerships with them, you're not going to maintain the success, let's say like that, or the market share.
Mm. And we did have a question from the audience just now that I believe is directed at Maximiliane. It says, do you feel that these so-called giants have heard the call to move towards the right direction?
Well, that's why I switched industries just
Mhm.
recently to make it heard. No, I worked for Zon, a battery supplier, for 5 years. We set up a virtual power plant there. But from my perspective, this was like a closed systems. It was all connected to the Zon battery. And the second step, I joined Tibber. It's a Norwegian Swedish company, which has a platform approach, super interesting, very focused on B2C. And now my logic, as I said, I'm in for the marathon. It's about time for those utilities to consider themselves rather as a platform for a more diverse group of end customers, not specific like, as I said, assets and maybe installers or any other service providers. And I want to be part of that transformation, but we are at the start. But that's I think we shall do it, we can do it, and we must do it, because in the end, the energy transformation is a national topic or a regional or European topic, and it's not necessarily something that shall be decided in the race for the IPOs. Yeah, we need it in for long, and we need the marathon. We need to succeed at the marathon.
And if I may add, also, we need, like, the decision makers has to be open for changes. Because we see the decision makers, sometimes they are kind of not open, or they are just sticking to this direction, just, and then that it breaks, of course, many ways of thinking, or many ways of developing the business.
Mm. Stefan, would you have any thoughts to add to that?
Well, I think I agree with Mauricio. It's the policy needs to change. The regulation needs to adapt as well, because the world is changing so drastically, right? So we're coming from a centralized energy system to a distributed system, and basically this is a major shift. So we will we will have to level the playing field, because I think distributed architecture, distributed technology always wins in the long run. It will win because because of cost. It will win because of reliability, and it will win because of performance. However, I feel like the distributed ecosystem still has to play by the laws and regulation of a centralized system. So that needs to be changed. We need to level the playing field to give everyone in the market kind of same access, similar access, and to really drive that change. And some markets are well advanced here, some markets not so much. But that's something that needs to happen. It also needs to change in terms of policymakers and how we approach this entire sector.
Mm. And then also for you, how do you, in your opinion, how is consolidation among energy companies reshaping the competitive landscape, potentially leading to fewer but larger players dominating the market?
Yeah, I mean, I've been part of the solar coaster for a while now, and it's always going up and down. And at some point, we discussed it yesterday, or you discussed it yesterday here at Gridix already. It just, accept it, raise your hands and scream and enjoy the ride. So there's always consolidation going on. Right now, we're also in a phase of consolidation, and I think consolidation is good because we've seen in the past too much proliferation, and that brings so much complexity that it's kind of hindering innovation to some extent. So I also expect consolidation to happen, but not to an extent that one player will be able to dominate the market. Really, I mean, take the automotive industry. It's been around for more than 100 years, and there's not the one car maker. There's always, at any time, 20 to 30 relevant players around, and everyone can, all differentiating everything. So there will not be the one player. Nevertheless, consolidation will happen. It will lead to standardization, and the standardization will actually lead to, I think, more innovation over the next couple of years, because those solutions will be in, and it will, at the end of the day, lead to better choices for the end user.
Maximiliane, Mauricio, would you two agree with this?
Yeah, I mean, innovation. Sorry, as Stefan said, innovation is the key, and it's not the key for the next years. It's the key for now. So it's like we see it also. I could say in the next quarter, the companies that are innovating, they're going to stay in the next year. So this is a constantly process that it's rolling every day, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's a very tricky question from the point of view of a utility, because there has been liberalization and then again consolidation. And from my experience, when there was like energy and E.ON, they were separated, there was way more momentum for challenging the best ideas. And there was a little more innovation from the utility side. That was about 6, 7, 8 years ago, if I remember correctly. So, and sometimes consolidation does not necessarily lead to innovation. And but on the other hand, when you have all these small businesses who have like financing issues, you have the high cycles in the profitability and business cases, then consolidation can actually help you do the business for a longer time. So it will be an up and down. It has its pros and cons, but the most crucial indicator at the current time is, can we iterate and are we able to innovate? And that's, yeah. I wanted to add to one point said earlier first as well, when it was about, sorry, I'll come back to it, Stefan. I wanted to add something to what it was about decentralization and centralization, and our regulatory system being completely still being framed for a centralized system. Somehow we still lack trust that it could be a very more stable approach for our economy to have a decentralized system. Somehow we still have this inner belief that a centralized system gives us stability and implies less risk. But when you come when you've worked long enough with decentralized technology, you actually come to believe that decentralized approaches with various players in the field, various different streams of technology, various different approaches is way more stable and than the other way. So I think we still need to change our minds, and I guess technology is first and regulatory should be second, because regulatory can only act according to a proven record, to best case examples. And yeah, so maybe consolidation is good. in the long run, but right now we need the competition.
And actually, going off of that, how do you see consolidation affecting pricing and service accessibilities for the consumer?
Well, there could be a monopoly, right? And that's the risk of consolidation, of too harsh consolidation. That's why we need the key players. We need many,
Hmm.
because the end customer will have to that then can have to choose can choose like the systems by pricing, by functionalities, etc.
And then Stefan and Maximiliane, would you agree with this?
I think one thing that comes with consolidation, and I share the fear that too much consolidation is could be also bad for innovation, but I think some consolidation needs to happen because it will also create trust, right? So again, as I said before, you invest. I mean, if you invest in a battery, solar system, a car, and whatsoever, this is a huge investment for a homeowner. And if you do that investment, you need to be certain that this company is trustworthy, will be around 5 years later. And we right now see, in this again in the solar coaster, we see a lot of cowboys, or we have seen a lot of cowboys in the market, and we need trust. I think trust is a currency that also needs to be valued much more.
Yes, that's why I wouldn't point out consolidation. I would rather go for strong cooperation. And if that is credible, I think that's the dominant scheme at the moment, which will bring us further. And about pricing and services, pricing is always better when there's competition, and services are good when there's someone with a reputation to lose in for the long run. So that's why I would point out cooperation should be the dominant model for these new technologies in the German market.
Okay, nice. And I did see that we've had quite a few viewers join a little bit later, so just wanted to remind everyone again about the Q&A. Please feel free to send in your questions, and we can ask our three panelists. But so, Mauricio, what role in your opinion, do economies of scale play in driving company consolidation within energy? Oh, you might be on mute.
Okay, sorry, I was muted. Sorry. Yeah, of course, there's a huge it's a huge role. Um, because economies of scale means like how easier, how cheaper maybe we can also then bring the systems up to the end customer. So, and this is a key point also, because I think in the European market right now, it's technology, of course, is very important. Warranties is also very important, but the price also very important. So, and then there are many markets, maybe not Germany is like most like a focus on pricing, because we still have like some people out there that they can afford to pay higher prices. But there are also many markets, they are really looking at the last cent. And if you are a stronger company that can scale up good products with long warranties, but also for a very good price, then it's of course you will stay longer in the market, and be part of these like 3 4 big companies that will leading the European market.
Hmm. And then actually shifting gears just a little bit, Maximiliane, how can companies ensure both speed and quality in the rollout of new holistic solutions?
That's a tough one. I wish I'd found the answer. No, it's a constant gamble, I would say. I think we have sort of now reached a new phase. The early adapters, the early stage where like all the people buying your product have a certain tolerance when it comes to not necessarily quality, but fixing stuff. I think that is that group is already we are now at the second stage, and the quality issue is super relevant. And that's where the industry should like join forces, because if we don't, and it's not relevant which brand, but if in the market we don't roll out technology that has a high level of quality, the adaptation will not work. So no matter how difficult it is to roll out new products with a high level of quality, it needs to be our number one priority.
Yeah, I
The
agree. It plays into the acceptance of the technology, because I mean we see, now is a tricky part, right, where again the broad majority needs to adopt the technology, and so far, the people who have not understood why this investment is good, it's even harder now to understand it because the solution is more complex. So that's why quality trust is so important right now, and actually it needs to be easy. We need to, we need to reduce complexity and make it very easy for the homeowner and for the end user to be part of the journey.
and then you guys were all bringing up policy a little bit. So, how might regulators adapt to changes driven by consolidation, ensuring that competition and service quality are maintained while still balancing market stability?
Oh, no, I think that the problem is a European scope or a German scope, because we've seen, I mean, there's some legislators in the world or even in Europe that do actually a pretty good job. There's some countries not so much doing a good job. So I think, also maybe the solution, I don't have a perfect answer, but maybe the solution is also, stop looking at your own country and maybe adopt best practices from others and just learn from each other, because there's, that's probably the fastest way to go,
I totally agree, and I love that answer. So we can get inspiration from European partner countries and look for best case examples, and there are lots of out there. So that's why I like the gridXdays. You're actually sort of initiating that dialogue, and we need international or at least European know-how transfer. Yeah, from my experience, we can learn a lot from Swedish and Norwegian markets. They don't raise their voice too loud, but when it comes to flexibility, at least coming from electric vehicles, they're way ahead to us. The German market is, I would say, lead when it comes to storage systems. And the Dutch market has a way more pragmatic approach to adapting regulation whenever needed, and is more dynamic for changes and more open for experimenting, I would say.
Yes, I can also add this because, for example, we have internal projects that we are more farther away in the Nordics than in Germany or even Netherlands. So we see that, for example, countries like Denmark, Sweden, Norway, they are so open for new ideas, for new technologies. When you come back to Germany, this is very tough to bring this up. So, and then you think like, wow, I mean, these guys, they are really open. They are really looking forward. They are in this train. They are in the ICE, how you say in Germany, instead of Germany. Sometimes you think like in a regional train, and they're just fighting around, and trying to convince. Yeah.
And we have had another question from the audience. Again, Maximiliane, this might be for you. How do you see players like 1,5 performing in the German market that kind of aim to become a utility 2.0?
Love that question. Well, I think part of the management team used to be my colleagues back at Zon. So I'm a little bit, let's say, conflicted to answer that. I'm pretty amazed by what they're doing and how they set it up. And these are the kind of motors we need in the industry to actually get things going. Without their approach, without their initiatives, others might not act. But is that the sprint or is it the marathon? Up to you to answer for yourself.
What I like about 1,5's approach and others' approaches is actually, that they keep it simple, right? I mean, the system is so complex, and you cannot sell that complexity. So they actually boil it down to they make it very easy to understand. They make it very easy to get, and it's a simple messaging. So I'm not saying it's easy what they do. I'm saying they're doing a very good job to basically keep the people out of the engine room and just provide them a good customer experience.
Absolutely, and they are totally breaking the German rules. Like we do not have players like that. It's from an American point of view, from a Nordic point of view, it's difficult to express how relevant they are for the German market, because so far not many have shown that it could be easy, and they just make it simple, make it look simple. It's super complicated, but they make it look simple.
Mauricio, would you have anything to add to that?
Well, I hope we can get more players like 1.5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, we're going to have again a monopoly.
Yeah.
High risk.
And so, Stefan, how can regulatory frameworks adapt to changes in industry consolidation and competition?
Well, I think we talked about regulation already, and I think again what we said before, learning from other countries, use best practices, and again change the mindset of get rid of that old thinking that a centralized system could actually be better. It's a distributed system will win in the end, and I think Maximiliane touched on that one before as well. The distributed systems will win. I mean, it's no matter where you look, which industry you look, and you can look at nature, right? Woods are the biggest distributed assets that you have. There's different trees, different plants, everything around it. Only together it's a robust system. So I think we need to look at it entirely differently, and I hope the regulation and politics finally, embrace that thinking that this is the way forward, and you need to empower all those end nodes that we have now, and not just a couple of big 400-pound gorillas that have been there for the last 40 years.
I avoid to feel like a gorilla, but I get your point.
No offense to gorillas.
And then Mauricio, although I think actually this would be a good question for all three of you, is what strategies can companies employ to evaluate when to partner versus when to go solo?
Well, I think go solo, and that would be just for a company really that comes from the same country, because then maybe better your market. But to go with partnership, it's a key again. Let's say for a company coming from China, let's say that if they go to different markets, they maybe know the numbers of the market, but they know really the main mindset of the market. That's why you need those partners to bring you insight, to give you this value add. I think without partnership, many companies from Asia would not be here.
Yeah.
I think for me, it comes back to this old saying, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, go in a group. And so yes, we need the ones that are fast, that more or less find the right way, but then also to actually make the majority adapt. You need to go with partnerships. You need to go in a group.
Exactly.
I would love to understand if there is a single company out there in the German market who has ever tapped the German market without going in a partnership. I would assume there's none. They might put their brand on it and simulate that they do it all by themselves. But please tell me which one. There is no solo. I don't think there are any solos out there.
Yeah.
Well, I know one. I'm not going to say name.
Okay, tell me later. I'm super interested.
But I seen not really growth there, so they're struggling, and for some reason they just want to stay alone. So and that's what I see. Like the sales are there, but not really. There's not really growth there. Yeah.
But Mauricio, a second ago, you were saying that it's more viable to go solo. You said within one country?
Exactly. For example, if you are, let's say, from Germany, so you know at the beginning, just this is but very important, just for the beginning. So if you're opening your company, if you're beginning this process, and you know your market, of course you're going to try to make it first, because nobody's going to come to you to your partnership either. So you have to show them also that the product is good. But if you wanted to succeed again, then and go up outside of your country, of course you need those partnerships.
Okay, so because in your opinion, it either wouldn't be possible or it would be too difficult to try to go throughout the entirety of Europe
It's too much,
solo.
yeah.
Then you
It's
need
too
the
much.
okay.
Yeah, it's too difficult.
And Stefan and Maximiliane, would agree with this?
Um, Again, I think you can do some progress by going solo and going fast. But again, I think in the long run, you can only do with the partnership. So I'm also interested in that name that Maurizio wants to give us later.
Excellent. And we do actually have another question from the audience. Have China-based companies with China-tried business models tried to enter the German market?
China tried business models. Well, yeah, of course, there are car companies. They're
Yeah.
already in the market with their business ideas. I think there's a brand for cars. I don't know if I can say the name, but they are like copying the Chinese idea to make like a houses, to make a different way of selling the cars, to giving you like let's say a coffee there, and you can also even work from there. This is some China idea that they are spreading here in Europe, and I think it's working for them. So it's kind of this. I would say this is a business idea that nobody in Germany is doing, or non-US company is doing. So this is really a thing that when I went to China, I visited those stores, and I thought like, wow, this is really a different mindset to attract people, to bring them to see the car, so you can work the whole day, even have a coffee for free there, and we don't have this from German companies or from US companies. So I would say that this business idea is swapping now to Europe.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. I would name Neo with
Exactly.
the battery swaps.
Yeah,
I do not know if it's working yet. Sometimes for market entry, it's like a question of how long and how much marketing money to spend.
yeah,
Um, but I would name them as an example that a different business model, different approach is tried.
exactly,
And well, yeah, before there was the famous American market entry from Tesla. They also
exactly.
rolled out the logic and a system that we had not
Different. Yeah,
experienced
you could
in
buy
Europe.
your car by a phone. So which actually did. So that's different mindset. And I would not say Chinese. It's just different from different parts of the world.
Yeah, and I mean, working for an American company, I also, I see the approach of how to tackle all those problems. The American approach is also slightly different, and I think what I'm missing to some extent is really that we also in Europe come up with a European approach, because I think we can again learn from a lot of the different business models we see, and really create something amazing here. And yeah.
So I think when it comes to energy, we always have to like sort of make sure that we differentiate on which level we are talking right now. For all those
Mm.
business models like consumer oriented cars and like home accessories, there shall be competition, and the more inspiration, the better. The German approach does not need to be the dominant. On the contrary, we are only now understanding that there is a comfort connected to all those technical tools. However, when it comes to security and stability, then maybe there is a layer where you say, okay, that is sort of the that shall be provided from utilities or grid operators. And when you talk about regulator, you asked about the regulator. I think they need to make sure where the critical layer is, like what to watch out for and where we can go into the competition.
I
So
totally agree. I totally agree. It's. I mean, that's why I said Germany is not always a good example. I think for some things Germany is a good example, but I think in terms of Europe, just learn from others, adapt what's good, and build a strong foundation, a European foundation. So I think just be open minded, and that's right now probably what I'm missing to some extent. That a lot of European countries are not open minded enough, and we see that in China, we see that, but also in the United States, they just try it. And again, let's see if it can be successful.
Exactly. For example, the e-mobility. So, like, I've been already 3 times this year in China, and every time when I go there, I see more EVs. Like, they have more than 60% of the cars are EVs already in China, and then they don't struggle really on saying like, oh no, I just have 600 kilometers or 500-kilometer range. They're also driving to their hometowns, which is 500 kilometers, 600 meters away, but the infrastructure is there to charge the cars, and nobody complains anymore about that. No, actually, like it's also very well seen if you have an EV car, and here in Germany you are always listening to, no, doesn't work, it's not work, doesn't work. No, I go back to diesel, like, and you think like, why, and why that in China, millions of cars already EVs are running, and successfully, and then you see like cars giving you a 10 years warranty, and you're not going to have this with fossil fuel cars. So
Nice. I'm so sorry to have to cut you guys off because we have to move into our next panel. But thank you so much for joining me for the stimulating conversation, and I hope Mauricio gives you to the name of that company he was talking
okay.
about.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
And
thank
for
you for
our
the
viewers,
invitation.
Thanks a
Thanks
and for
so
our
lot.
much.
viewers, we'll be right back.
Thank you.